So hello everybody. I hope you guys are having a fabulous Friday. I know that I am a little bit. I'm a little bit under the weather, and so yeah, I'm here though. I'm here. Uh, so today is Free Flow Friday, where we talk about everything kind of that's been trending. So we want you guys to throw stuff in the comment section that you want to talk about. But we're gonna lead off talking about Haiti. I don't know if you all have been following the news in the last couple of hours, really since this morning. Hey, Anais, how you doing? Since this morning, it's been discovered that Haitians have traveled over to Texas Del Rio, and it's a nightmare for Border Patrol, and we'll just leave it at that for now. And so I'd like to say thank you to YouTube and Facebook, the other side of the conversation. You all are not just viewers, but you are participants as well. And this is probably the only show where we read each and every comment because we feel like you should be included too. How you doing, Angela? You should be included in the discussion as well. And so it is our pleasure to do that. I'd like to say thank you to Marcus Guyton for everything that he does behind the scenes and making the show go further. Of course, I can't leave out my partner in crime, the recovering Democrat, Donovan Sadiq, the man with all the knowledge. So anyway, I'm going to give it to him before I go ahead and open. And like I said, y'all, forgive me. I'm a lot under the weather, but I'm here because I didn't want to cancel the show. And so Donovan is actually going to be doing most of the reading, and I'll jump in here and there. But Donovan's got this. Hey, Robin. So what's up, Donovan?
All right, you guys. Welcome, welcome, welcome. It is Friday. You guys have made it to another week. You are not joining the ancestors this week. Hopefully you'll make it next week as well. We love having you guys here. I'm going to take over the show. I told you, 1 million black men against Dimitri K. It's finally working. So no, we're going to do that. But we'd love to have you guys here. We made it. There's a lot of stuff going on in the African diaspora all over the place. Once again, as Dimitri's already said, when it comes to black folks, just pile them up and, we just don't give a damn, no resources, no nothing. We're going to get into that in a little bit. But do us a favor, please like, share, and if you haven't subscribed, go ahead and subscribe, and we can get the information out and kind of get everybody on the same page doing what we do. And again, we're not just the hosts of the show. You guys are like our co-hosts, and this is why I think our show is one of the more different shows out there. Yes, I am still in the Dominican Republic. And I'm telling you, it's the weekend and the tourists are coming in. A lot of the East Coast people are coming in. Check out my Facebook page. I've got my daily blog up and I've got the pictures and the videos. It'll be my first weekend at the beach this weekend where, I'm going to see what's going to be jumping off and popping off. So let's get into the show and just see what is really, really going on. And, Dimitri, just do me a favor and, make sure I don't skip, too many comments and stuff like that. Okay. All right, let's get into it. And again, thanks to my homie, Marcus Guyton, for all the stuff that he does behind the scenes, and everybody else that does a lot of stuff behind the scenes by sending us stories and information that we might not know, but they might want us to, carry on the show. So let's get into it. So Anise Faith Jones says, shalom, Anise. Angela Rester, B1 first, of course. Robin is always with us. Yes. Good evening. You guys keep saying good evening, but here it still feels like it's the morning and it's 4:00 here. So I'm kind of like, but I slept so that I could be ready to go out tonight. Anyway, and Anise says they are sending the blacks back. You know what, Anise? That is very, very interesting because I think there was another Democratic administration that was sending black people back without question. It didn't matter if they were in the water or they reached the United States. They were sent back because of the color of their skin. So we're going to get into that a little bit. Anita Howard says, greetings and happy Friday. Yes, happy Friday to you, Anita. And Gay Hey, I hope I said that right. Hey, beautiful sister and handsome brother, finally caught alive. All right, great. And again, hey, don't just keep it to yourself. Share, like, and subscribe. So Jafaya is with us as always. Good afternoon, all. And, and for all you regular folks, you guys know who you are. So we appreciate you guys being here. So, and do us a favor, if you're on the other side of the video and you want to comment and stuff, you got to come on this side. So click the link and we could see your comments and do all that other good stuff. And Art is with us, my folks. What is going on, my man? Art. I'll tell you a quick story about a handicapped guy that's here, Art. So it is the funniest thing. I mean, I'll tell you about it.
Disabled.
Oh, I'm sorry. Disabled. When I keep thinking of a living color handyman. I keep thinking of
right. You don't want to think about that.
All right. Smoketown for life. I need co-host credits. There you go. You know, we need to start doing that. Put like everybody's credits at the end and stuff. Well, we'll start doing that on a green screen or something when I get back. Olivia Seymour. Hello, all. I'm catching the live again finally and not taking a nap. There you go. But hey, if you need to take a nap because I took one. And he, sir, that slick bald head is sexy. Oh, thank you very much. You guys know I got there's only a few of us that have a pin at the top. My hair goes like this. One of the greatest artists of all times also had that little point. His name was Tupac Shakur. What does that tell you? So, hey, April Lane, namaste. All right. And TJ says B1 family. And Anita says, so have anyone noticed that the child credit checks have ceased? Yes, but wait. But before I just want to get on to some of those comments. Now, Dimitri, do you want to like kind of talk about the Haiti thing real quick and what's going on there and what the government is actually doing, or do you want?
I'll go ahead and open it. So again, hello to everybody. Leather and Luxury Cars. Anita, who else is on here? Hi, here, Jafia. And Sunlight, how you doing? Donovan is taking the lead today because I'm terribly ill. I feel horrible. I wasn't even going to do it, but I was like, I want to cancel another show. But anyway, let me go ahead and get started. I'm going to jump in and out to kind of help it go along. Ricky, how you doing? So anyway, as you guys may or may not know, today, it's been on the news all day that about 12,000, it's like probably over 12,000 Haitians have converged on Del Rio, Texas. They're under a bridge. And so it is said that they have immigrated from South America and that a lot of them were there. Some people are saying about a year or so. We don't know how true this is, but they are there. And as you guys also know, Haiti experienced another earthquake about a month ago or so at this point. And so they never recovered from the one in 2010. And so they have a very dire situation in Haiti. And so a lot of them have come over to the United States to seek asylum. Now, as Donovan alluded to before, this is nothing new, especially for a Democratic administration. The Clintons were like, nah, don't even let them dock here. Push their rafts and their boats back into the water. They cannot come here, right? Now, also, you got to remember, too, that Biden was around during the Clinton administration. You guys know he's been in Washington for almost 50 years or so. And he was very instrumental in what was going on in Haiti when the Clintons were in office. The question was, should Clinton go and, do an airstrike or, and all of that. And the sort of conversation more or less like, well, I don't know if Congress will let him do it. We don't want, Clinton to come off as weak, right? And so let me show you what he actually said during this particular conversation. Then I'll go ahead and finish what I'm saying. It's not that long. It's a couple seconds long, but it's very important. So hopefully y'all can see the caption here. So here we go.
If Haiti, a god-awful thing to say, if Haiti just quietly sunk into the Caribbean or rose up 300 feet, it wouldn't matter a whole lot in terms of our issue.
So as you saw there and heard yourself, and I want to go ahead and share this so y'all can see it. I don't know, I probably should have just left that one up there. It's the same thing if you ask me. But here we go. So this is what Joe Biden said about Haiti in 1994. And Donovan will be able to fill this a little bit more, but that's when the conversation was taking place about the Clintons, the Clinton administration rather going into Haiti and taking over, right? And so actually they weren't to take over because their president at the time, Jean-Bertrand Aristide, I think that's how you say it, he was overthrown. And so the United States was like, well, should we go and blah, blah, blah. You guys, Donovan will fill in the rest of that. And so here we are in modern times. Now, this conversation about Biden came up in July when the president of Haiti, Jovenel Moïse, was murdered. So somebody found this conversation of Biden. So bringing it to today, the Biden administration is going to be starting 8 flights a week. So I guess big giant aircraft Donovan will be able to fill it in. Flights a week from the United States to Haiti to take the Haitians back. And then they're going to ramp it up to 10 giant flights a week to take the Haitians back. And so basically, the Haitians are not welcome here. Now, remember, maybe a month ago, maybe not even that long, that Taliban in Afghanistan took over. And so they have brought, and Kamala Harris said, almost 180,000 refugees, Afghan refugees here. And they're talking about bringing some more, and they're setting them up really nicely. They're giving them money, and they're doing all this other stuff. Now, before I came on here, I was watching a news conference. I guess it's the Joint Chiefs of Staff or somebody. I don't know who it was. Forgive me. But they were talking about the United States did an airstrike and accidentally killed like 7 people in Afghanistan.
Seven children. And they said it was a mistake. And I heard the word reparations. Do you think reparations should be paid or will be paid for what was done? And I said, I'll be damned. You brought all these, Africans from Africa to America to become slaves on purpose, and we can't get reparations for the stuff that our ancestors went through and the stuff that we are still going through as Black people in America. But Biden, they're like, send them back. And, the Border Patrol naturally is overwhelmed. They're like, what are we going to do? We don't, because they're just so many of them. They're just setting up camp under the bridge. But I went onto Cori Bush's page, and she's, I don't want to get too much into her, but she's part of the Congressional Black, talkers, as Donovan would say, and they're just absolutely no good for Black people. And that ratchet, raggedy broad, and I'm being nice, had nothing to say about what was going on in Haiti. Nothing. That she's on her page talking about, I'm talking to one of my constituents, a little kid, and they talking about snacks. I'm like, really? You talking about snacks, and you got, Haitians who are like here and they don't have anything, but yet you're talking about snacks. So nothing says I've bought into the establishment more than, I'm not even going to mention Black people. And Brother Phil hit me on to something this morning about the Black congressional talkers. I want to call them something else, but I'm not. They are signed, they're trying to get some legislation passed, and they're all on board for DACA and the Dreamers, and they want to get it passed. And I'm like, you mother, really? Really? What about first of all, the Black people here that put your Black asses in office? And what about the Black people under the bridge right now who probably have nothing, but yet y'all focus is, and of course now they're saying, well, some of the Democrats don't want to send them back, but it's like, how come we're not hearing that as loudly as we've heard about DACA, the Dreamers, the Afghans, or any of that kind of stuff? Why aren't we hearing that as loud? So anyway, y'all, I know I'm supposed to be sick and taking a back seat, but that's all I had, Donovan. All right. I mean, you know what, Demetri, I really do feel that you are speaking the frustration of a lot of us that have seen in our faces what these people are doing to us, and they're doing to us that have the same color skin. And that's, incredible. But let another group of people come here, let's say the Mexicans or whatever. Oh, we've got to do something about the kitchen, the cages, the humanity. We've got to do. But let it be a Black person and absolutely nothing. But in 1994, I'm gonna give you guys a quick thing, because a lot of people, we don't want you guys to sit here and think that we're just making up stuff and just kind of doing it. But in 1994, President Aristide was overthrown, and Clinton went in there, whatever. But how many of you guys remember that kid, Ramos, whatever? It had the little Cuban kid that came to the States, and his father wanted him back in Cuba.
Elian Gonzalez.
Elian Gonzalez. And that was a big thing, right? And we're fighting. Oh no, we got to keep him here. Light skin Latina, right? And so there was a big thing with that. And but the mother, I guess, or the aunt that his mother had died, him trying to get here, but she was seeking asylum. And you saw all of these Democrats lined up talking about, oh yes, she wanted asylum, and we've got to give him asylum because they're being prosecuted in Cuba and all this other stuff, right? That is the guys. What the hell do you think these Haitians are trying to do? Now, I'm here in the Dominican Republic right now, and I'm going to tell you guys this. There are Haitians over here. The border between the Dominican Republic and Haiti is closed. It is literally closed. Now, in the Dominican Republic, they really don't get down with the Haitians like that in the aspects of, getting down with them. I mean, they're cool and everything, but they're tightening up their border, and they don't. Two different things: French speaking, Spanish stuff going on down here, and it's really weird because the Haitians are so desperate in their plight that they won't even let them out and come over here for a better opportunity. And we're supposed to be the land of happiness, and here we are, same issues as Mexicans or anybody else that wants to come to the United States, but now they're shipping us back out there. So let me get to these comments before we get too far behind. Leather and Luxury Cars, hey y'all, says, hey y'all, how you doing? The Pioneer, good afternoon, beautiful, intelligent queen and king. Yes, Pioneer says there are about 10,000 Haitians being held hostage up under a bridge in Texas right now. My question with that, Pioneer, is are they being held hostage, which I agree, or is that some type of unofficial internment camp? Think about that. How does 10,000 people just, hang in that little area and got it set up a certain way? So we never know. Yeah, Jafia, that handyman from In Living Color, that was my thing. And Robin Cooper says the Haitians are not the white, the right complexion. Yeah, and you see that really big here in the Dominican Republic, very, very big, because you have some brown Dominicans, but they don't identify, with the African diaspora. They identify more so with the Latin diaspora. So Pioneer says, Brother Don, Meta got you reading Mitra got you reading the comments today, giving her a break. Yeah, she needs a break. Oh, girl. Rabbit's getting old, baby. The bad rabbit's getting old. Sunlight, hello, family. Happy Friday. Happy Friday to you. Love today's topic, Tracy. Yes, welcome, welcome, welcome. If I didn't say that. Ricky Blanchard says, I got the mountaintop head myself. So, yeah. See? Tupac, only the greats could get the top there. So Jafia says, Donovan, they call your pen a rhino horn. Not saying that. Right. Got it. Pioneer says, we can see what the government is doing. Nothing for our Black brothers and sisters in Haiti. And like I said, Dimitra really summed up what is actually happening. And our representatives, how do you do for these people and you don't do for your own people? It's incredible. And they act like they just woke up and all these people just appeared there out of the blue. Sunlight says, get well soon, sis. And Olivia Seymour says, hey, Olivia, and hey, Sunlight. I'm going to need y'all to stop flirting with my future husband. I just need the other cats to go and we'll be fine. Yes, I'm with you on that, sweetheart. I am with you on that. Kelly Dennis says, I am sorry you don't feel well, but look good. Feel better. Yes, Dimitri's under the weather. And, and the funny thing about Dimitri is she doesn't really get sick, but she's one of those people when she does get sick, she gets sick. So Pioneer says, oh no, sorry to hear about your condition, Queen. I hope you get much better soon. We like seeing you, but take a break over the weekend if you need to. Exactly. Like I said, 1 million Black men against Dimitra K. We could do the show for you. It's no problem. So Jafia says, I recall how the Cubans were always accepted and the Haitians were not. Exactly. Even when in the 1994, when they were sending back the Haitians, Cubans were still coming here and they were welcomed. And Clinton said, because the law is this, if they could make it to the American shore, they can file for asylum, political asylum. You can file for political asylum. But when the Haitians were making it, it didn't matter. Clinton said, pack them up, go. If their boat was flailing in the ocean, international waters, the Coast Guard was told, don't do anything, period. And you just saw what Joe Biden, your president, has said about Haiti, and by his actions, he still feels that way to this very day. It does not bother him. So Pioneer says, didn't Ronald Reagan and the Republicans turn Haitians over in their boats when they tried to come over here? Why are we making this a Democratic thing when both of them have mistreated our people? No, it wasn't Ronald Reagan that did that. It was under the Clinton administration. Reagan pretty much dealt with the Sandinistas in Central America, but even with those people, he legalized them. So, it wasn't an issue then. It was only an issue, once again, when Haiti went through an overthrow, and that was the biggest problem. Olivia says, our people were actually here first, and that needs to be respected for one. The one main thing that was great about Trump is stopping the illegals from coming here. Well, the Pioneer, are we supposed to believe a Republican president, is someone going to treat the Asian immigrants better or something? I don't get this focus on Democrats as opposed to all the administration. Pioneer. And, and I love the way that you keep bringing the discussion up, because for some people that might be the first time listening, it gives us kind of the both sides and how people think, right? Is it feasible and is it fathomable that Democrats have done worse to Black people than Republicans? Or let's talk about this. Or are both parties working together doing a shell game? Remember, like when cops get you, there's always the good cop and there's always the bad cop. But what are they working for? The same goal. The same goal. You have to be a sick person to see and support a group that is no good for you. But for some reason, it's the lesser of two evils. So you think that these people who do nothing for you is good, and these people who do just as much nothing for you is just as good. That's crazy. So, it's just something to think about. We just want people to think about Biden is one wicked man. And guess who he was the vice president for? And he was picked to calm the white folks. Barack Obama. So there we go. I really blame our people, Afro-Americans, more than any of the administrations for what's happened with the Haitians, because we should be putting pressure on the government to help them out. I'm glad you brought that up, Pioneer, because what do you think is going to happen tomorrow? A very peculiar message is going to be sent to the white politicians to let them know who they work for. And not one Republican, even up to this day, has said anything in regards to keep the violence down, don't do this, don't do that, or whatever. It was on the news today reported, they had asked the defense spokesman, well, how can you guarantee no violence when in the last insurrection, there were policemen opening up doors and some of them were even in cahoots with what was going on? Couldn't answer it. So, this is where we're at in America. So, and Smoketown for Life says, racist America, right? Triple K. Pioneer, yeah, okay, I got that one. Sunlight says, the majority of Blacks don't vote Republican. That's why, right. And the Democrats feel they don't have to pay a price. No matter what you do, you're going to vote for us anyway. So we don't have to do nothing for you. You're going to vote for us anyway. That's why I feel they need to pay a price. We're not getting shit under the Democrats. And Pioneer, you're right. We probably won't get nothing under the Republicans. But guess what? We can sit to the sidelines and wait and wait and wait. And then when they really want to win an election, who's going to be the deciding factor? We can tilt the election either way we want to go. And eventually it's about power. They will come and say, hey, we need these Negroes to vote for us. So what is it that you want? Even Donald Trump said when he tried to gain re-election, what do you want? What can I do? Everybody forgets that. He was willing to, hey, let me vote. And again, more Black people voted for him the second time than they did the first time. Why is that? Jafia says, and none of the refugees will be homeless. Exactly. But notice that when the Congressional Black Talkers during Hurricane Katrina, their biggest issue, instead of getting the people the rations and the support that they needed, they were writing bills and trying to censor people for calling Black people refugees within the United States. Blacks are not refugees. Forget the label. Get us some help, damn it. So that's where we're at with that. And Pioneer says, instead, so many of our people are pushing the Fund Americans and ADOS move anti-Black immigrant, right? Okay. Well, there's an old saying, the friend of my enemy is, or the enemy of my, how does that go? The friend of my friend is my enemy, or whatever that thing is.
I'm like the friend, the enemy of my enemy is my friend.
Right,
or something
is my friend. So right now, yes, these other parts of the diaspora that have come to the United States and taken our benefits and stuff that was specifically for us, we're going to have to deal with that issue sooner or later. But right now, we have bigger fish to fry than to worry about, our brothers and sisters of a different lineage. So let me get up here, jumped up. Okay, blah, blah, blah. Let me get back here.
Let me know if you want me to help you read some of them too. I can read some of them.
Yeah, absolutely. And Randy Pierre, how you doing? Welcome to the show. Sunlight, yes, because too many immigrants display anti-Black hatred. They do. Well, that's how you're going to make it in this country. In 1975, when the Vietnamese were brought over here and they were put in those camps, what do you think was the first thing that they were taught? Nigga, 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 nigga. Nope, you didn't get it. Nigga, nigga, nigga. Ah, there it is. Yes, you will be a good American. Let him in. That's the first thing they're usually taught. Call her a bitch. It's okay, Randy says. Now fundamental Blacks finally. Oh, man, I hate when this thing jumps. Okay, da-da-da-da-da. You get
now you see.
Yeah. Now, finally closing. Okay, call her a bitch. Okay, now fundamental Blacks finally closing ranks, and it shouldn't be a problem, right? And the Pioneer says, I seriously wish intelligent and decent Black folks can stop criticizing each other over who's getting the jab or not and organize to go down to Texas and help our Asian brothers and sisters. But here's the problem, Pioneer. A lot of us are in the same position as those Haitians. We just don't believe it. We just don't believe it. We don't have the resources. We don't have the money. And I'm telling you, I'm here in the Dominican Republic on the show. You've got these young Black girls that are doing the same thing that our Black women, young Black girls in the United States are doing. They got the weave, they've got the nails, they got the whatever, and they're selling coochie for pennies on the dollar just so they can live a certain life. They're doing the same thing here. And that's what I'm saying. How come we can't see that and we think, oh, we're Americans, we're better, we're better. No, we're not. We're in the same situation. And Frank Nitty says, yo, and Sunlight at Frank, I'll go ahead and do that, says, hello, Black man. Pioneer, yo, yep. Pioneer says, Queen, I hear what you're saying about the ineffectiveness of the congressional Black talkers, but they aren't stopping the other 40 million Black folks from organizing and helping out down there. That's correct. But again, to help, you've got to have some money. What is helping the Afghans get here? Resources. They're not giving us resources. They're not doing it. What's helping the Mexicans get here? Resources. They're being allotted billions of our tax dollars that we are all spending. It's going to them. But when it comes to people of Black skin, wait. No, that's too much. Just like we said the other day, when it comes to the HBCUs, instead of giving them 40 billion or whatever it was, we're going to cut you guys first because, that's just too much. So Frank says, hi, Sunlight. You guys have a nice little chat there. Anita Howard, that whole part, exactly. Kira's rants. Ooh, I got to go check out your page. I like that. Kira's rants. I'm so tired of the theatrics of politicians, exactly. And nobody is more theatric and loves to be entertained than Black people. Because notice that, like Ralph Warnock, what is his vocation? He's a pastor. Talks good, dresses good. Well, I was with Martin Luther King. I'm at his church. And we fall for that every time. The symbolism. And Michelle Mays says, Congressional Black Blockers. Thank you. And you guys, if you guys want, please join the channel. We've got a Cash App and other good stuff. Please take a look at it. And if you guys feel the need, give us the speed. So anyway, family, and yeah, you guys having a great conference. You guys are supposed to be helping us co-host the show. So anyway,
yeah, that's why I don't read the ads and Pioneer's little asterisks. Yeah, those.
I see that. So Sean West, he says he's off. Gerald Parker says the child tax credit payments continue until December 2021. Now, I'm not saying that you're not right with that, Gerald. And by the way, welcome. But in some states, especially the Republican states, they cut that stuff off in a lot of those states. So Kira's rants finally got the notification. Yes. Smoketown for life, Elmo Gonzalez. Okay. Michelle says Congressional Black Carcass. Yes. And Jeremy has awakened. Hey, Jeremy, how you doing? Good afternoon, friends. Good to see you, brother. April Lane, what? Where in Texas? Isn't that something, April? Like all of a sudden, all these people appeared all of a sudden, and now it's a problem. So, and then again, I looked up what's going on in Rikers Island. There was a correctional officer here. He had to go back because of what's going on up there in Rikers Island. So, Gay says this is so frustrating, but it's not unexpected, right? Sean West, I just seen hundreds of hating on the news. Yeah, in Mexico protesting about the border into the United States. Yeah, exactly. The Pioneer internment camp. Bingo. Brother Don, you're absolutely right, my brother. That's exactly what's happening down there to our people. Yeah. I mean, because something like that just doesn't appear. It doesn't appear. It's an unofficial internment camp. If you saw some of the aerial videos of it, they have like things like, it's all organized. If it was something that was just out of the blue, none of that would be organized the way that it is. And Pioneer says, handyman, man, that was such a cruel skit. I couldn't bring myself to laugh at that one, even as a teenager. I knew it was wrong. Yeah, it was wrong. But Damon Wayans did a fairly good job with that. And wasn't that Blank Man kind of a twist on that too? So April Lane says, disgusting. TJ, are they sending all of the Haitian people back, even those who are lawfully permanent residents? Well, the ones that have seeked asylum illegally, they can't really send them back. Well, they can, but then there'll be a lot of problems with that. But the ones that got here for however they got here and got no papers, they're going to be putting them on a military aircraft, probably a C-17, just like you saw in Afghanistan, or even a C-5, our biggest aircraft, and getting them the hell out of here. So Jafia says the DR government kicked everybody with Haitian birth certificates dating. Oh, yeah, exactly. All the way back to 1929 out of the DR. Exactly. There is a lot of Haitians where I'm at right now that are not supposed to be here, and they're just trying to make a living any way they can. Kevin Johnson says, hey, Kevin, what it do? D and Don, what's up, fam? What's going on? Olivia says, Donovan, you do know that most Black of the people from the DR doesn't like being categorized as Blacks. Yeah, I realize that. There's something wrong with that because the Hispanics don't accept them. Exactly. And even the brown Hispanics, they don't accept them. I mean, they think that they're in a different type of level. April Lane, he isn't your future husband. Fall back. Anita, feel better, Demetra. Thunder, hello, everyone. Thunder, what is going on? Frank, get well soon, Demetra. The Pioneer, I can only blame the racist administration and even the sellouts who go along with them so much because they aren't holding 30 million of us back from doing something to help them. That's an excuse. But let me ask you this, Pioneer, what can we do? We are only 13 to maybe 14% of the population. Let's say we do rise up. You got the white folks, you got the Asians who are honorary whites, and you got the Hispanics. Half of them don't want to help us. So we're behind enemy lines, dog. What do we do? We have no allies? So what can 30 million Black people behind enemy lines do? Moni, hey, Moni, how are you? 4:22 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Hello, Demetra and gorgeous Donovan. Good to see you. Much Detroit love in the house. Demetra would love to take you up on your offer to be exterminator. Demetra says, hey, everybody. And Moni says, I'm putting my claim in on Donovan. This is mine. It's all straight up Detroit. I'm not going to get no beds in. Let's set the bid at 7,500. That's what I'm talking about. That's what I am talking about. Pioneer says, part of me is kind of curious how well Donovan will be able to keep up with the comments and giving his own commentary for a whole 2 hours. I thought, wow, we've seen the Queen do it, but not Don yet. Yeah, okay, but that's why I got the Queen backing me up. See, you can never be too proud to ask for help. You know what I'm saying? Sean, hey, Sean West says, to keep it real, us as so-called Black people, we need this wake-up call from Democrats. Forget Republicans too. Exactly. There's nobody that's going to come save us. We have to save ourselves. Mox Nix at Demetra, I wanted to read this for you. What color and brand of lipsticks do you have? Ladies, it's Friday. The nail shop is open down here.
So real quick, because I have a lot of people asking me that. Normally, I use Rihanna. I have it here because I record and stuff a lot. Rihanna, but I'm running out of that. And so then somebody bought me MAC Ruby Woo, right? I like to go with, our sister, but I use this in the meantime, MAC Ruby Woo. So, and sometimes Wet n Wild, if I can find the right red. So,
absolutely. And Jafia says, Demetra, go get how you're looking. I am very sensitive when it comes to seeing people not feeling well. Don't get me crying. Demetra's tough. Look, her mother, she comes from some strong folks, okay? So, Frank Nitty says, yo, that's true. The Pioneer says, Brother Don, I'm not a kid. I'm old enough to remember the 80s and what happened. Ronald Reagan ordered the boat to be turned over, brother. I remember it. It's actual history. Well, I could be wrong, but I doubt it. So, again, I always leave that little window open, but I'm almost very sure Ronald Reagan's issue was the Sandinistas and what was going on in Central America. That is how we got into the Iran-Contra issue. And then that's when all of a sudden he gets Alzheimer's and he's not responsible for his actions. And that's where the drugs ended up into the neighborhoods and all that other good stuff. So they can fund the money for the Contras. Congestive dissidents. Yeah, exactly. That's Frank. Jeremy has awakened. You took the words right out of my mouth, Donovan. They played good cop and bad cop, and they do it all the time. Then about every 3 election cycles, they change roles. However, we are still the main focus and target. Exactly. If you notice, every 20 years, the Democrats become the Republicans and the Republicans become the Democrats in policy, exact policy. And that's it. Everything in politics is about power, nothing else. So Pioneer says, I agree with you, Brother Don. Both of them are working together like good cop and bad cop. Right. Kiara's rant says, I agree. We should be protecting our own. Smoketown for life. Wow, Brother Donovan, you have the ladies going crazy. You're the YouTube Denzel Washington. Well, you know, when I went to Riverside City College, I was known as the Black Denzel. Okay. The broke Denzel. I'm sorry. They called me the broke Denzel. So I was
the low budget Denzel.
Right. So Starseed Mat Tammy. I hope I said that right. Mayat, right.
We call her Tammy. I know Tammy.
Yeah, Tammy. Republicans can care less about blacks and Democrats are manipulative. They're using blacks for numbers. Well, you know what? In 9 years, they won't have to worry about us because we will be totally irrelevant. And Jafia says, come on, Donovan, what is happening to Haitians is not our fault. Why would Black Americans be blamed for that? No, what I'm saying, Jafia, is not that it's our fault or we should be blamed for it, but what happens to them eventually happens to us. And that's what we mean about the African diaspora. If you look at everywhere that we've been, me and Dimitri were in South Africa, in Soweto, the ghettos of Soweto, Black people are the same everywhere. They have cell phones, they have a satellite. What do we have when you go to the ghetto here in the United States or in the United States? Everybody's got big screen TVs, everybody's got cell phones, but nobody's got any money. So what happens to them eventually happens to us. And if we don't care about them, it's only, Malcolm X said this, it's only going to be a matter of time before they have the gas ovens built before you realize that they're hot. And what does that mean? That means the Holocaust of just burning people and that's the final solution. And it's going to be too late by the time we realize it. So we have to look out for them and be cognizant of what happens to our brothers and sisters in the diaspora. And Sean West says, I'm not a Republican or Democrat, but let's keep it 100. Democrats did some serious damage to us blacks, right? One of the worst Democrats of all times, his name was Woodrow Wilson. He legitimized the Ku Klux Klan in the 20th century. Go read up on that guy, talking about democracy and all this other stuff, but at the same time, trying and to put Black people in a position that they will never recover. And he kind of almost basically succeeded in his legislation because it was Woodrow Wilson that threw out Black people out of the federal government. How many of you guys know that? Right? Pioneer says, it's interesting that even when Demetra ain't talking, she's still talking with her eyes. Laugh out loud. As a girl, I wonder, did she ever get in trouble with adults over rolling her eyes? No, Demetra didn't like to take no whippings. Demetra did not like to take no whippings. So Moni says, let me get back up there. Give me a second here. That thing rolled big. Okay, Moni says, golly, guys.
There's much Detroit love to the Pioneer, but the Republicans, every chance they get, they hang in their own self, even down to Larry Elder in your California. Donovan Time will tell all things.
Let's see what I'm getting.
And Frank says, I'll catch you up. Trump was willing to do for us. That platinum plan was good. And Thunder, you say the sheep are afraid of being eaten by the wolf Republicans, but the sheep will still follow the shepherd Democrats, even though he turns them into lamb stew after he fleeces them. Hey, Kelly. And Jafai says the enemy of our enemy is our friend. There you go. Yeah. And Frank says, okay, replying to Thunder. Angela, you say, doesn't seem like any other group wait for the government to help their own. The government follows the lead of the group. So the question is, what are we gonna do?
Yeah.
What's our group gonna do for us?
Exactly. Kiera's rant says we say defund the police when they expand the police budgets all over the country. And have you guys noticed that when that title was going on, a lot of the police departments refused to do their jobs? Olivia says, I hope you get better soon, Demetra. We need you. She will. Wait, if the enemy of my enemy is my friend, right? That's the saying. And the pioneer, nickel, nickel, nickel. Yeah, come on, Don. You know what? That wasn't the first thing Vietnamese learned when they came over here. They learned that over in Vietnam before getting here. Well, actually, no, that's not true, because they're a monolithic people. So there really isn't any Black people. When they came to America, it's just like in Japan. They had no problem with Black people in Japan for hundreds of years before the white man after World War II. All the racism that came into Asia happened after World War II. That's a fact. Even in Europe, after World War I, if you guys saw the movie A Soldier's Story, what did Sergeant Walters tell the story of about that Black guy? And they spread that rumor that Black people had tails and all that other stuff to this very day, in some cases in Europe and stuff like that. Racism came from, because these people initially weren't racist. It's that white guy that came over there and said, oh yeah, don't mess with those Negroes. You know, we keep them over here. They're lower than us. And we are still spreading that propaganda to this very day. Republicans win without the Black vote. Democrats need the Black vote to win presidential elections and some statewide elections. Exactly. But think about this. Do Republicans win because of the Black vote? Or is it that's the fix? You have it for a few years and then we have it for a few years. Because remember, it's the Electoral College that decides who's president, not the popular vote. We are in the same position as the Haitians. That's true. Yeah. See, Frank, there you go. Angela Rester says the pioneer is right. We who can do it should do it. Right. Okay. But you got all these millionaire athletes. You got LeBron James. You got all these people, right? What do they do with their money? Investing in movies, clothing lines, and stuff like that. How does that help us? I'm just asking the question. We have people that have money, but are they investing in the community? I don't think so. Pioneer, well, you have to understand who you're talking to. I'm a man who doesn't have a problem with women of any race prostituting as long as they aren't forced into it. Right? No. Hey, I was raised in Asia. Sex work and sex traffic. I have no problem with that whatsoever. I mean, as fellas, we know we're paying for it one way. There's Donovan. I would love to hear you speak about the new Black law that makes it, if you call the police on a Black man, Black woman, and you're white, you're going to jail. Signed by Democratic governor. Okay, I haven't really read up on that, but I will when I get back to the States and get back into the swing of things. And Jafia says the women from the DR are all over social media looking for a man to take care of them out of the DR. And let me tell you something, these women are about their coin here. So if you come down here thinking you want a love connection, you a damn fool. So after these next three years off into Sean West in office, Black people are going to be in some serious trouble. Exactly. Pioneer says, so far, so good, Brother Don. You're doing fine. Keep up the good work. Yeah. Okay, Pioneer, keep me on track. I need that. Jafia says, Biden's HBCU attitude goes directly back to how Obama dealt with them. Exactly. Just either ignore them. You say one thing, but you do another. Moni says, the United States has a way of making you feel better because we have better programs for you. No food assistance, in some cases, rental assistance, where other countries don't. Let's be clear. Exactly. The Pioneer said that on one of my shows that I did, where like here in Haiti and a lot of countries, there is no social safety net. I mean, these dudes have to go out there and get it. These people have to go out there and get it. There is no $800 food stamps. There is no Section 8. There is none of that. But notice, because there is none of that, these people have an entrepreneurial go-get-it spirit. What do we have? Pioneer, I would have thought my not to be read would have caught on with other posters. I guess not. Moni says, but I say, while they'll help Afghanistan, and that's why, not just give us our money so we can leave here, at least give us a ticket where we can leave instantly and take resources with us to Africa. Do you actually believe that they are going to let us leave here, much less take resources? That's why China is in Africa right now. They're going to take the resources from other countries. We're like a cancer, and that's what they do. They go in there, destroy it, and keep their home country going. Thunder, we are getting tired of giving them our vote. the worst that can happen, we vote for them, we get nothing. We don't vote for them, we get nothing. But at least this time we didn't vote for nothing. Exactly. That's what I'm saying. Everybody tells me, well, Republican, you're getting nothing on both sides. Nothing from nothing leaves nothing. You got to have something. So Gerald Parker says, states can't cut the child tax credit. That's a federal tax benefit, right? People get it every year, but usually after filing taxes. This year they will get it in advance, so refunds will be smaller next year. Yeah, but again, Biden administration, they said one thing, but then you go back and look at what they're doing behind the scenes. It's a totally different thing. Now they're going to be auditing $600. You got more than $600 in your account. What's that about? Angela Rester says they did the same thing to Haitians in the 1970s. The U.S. and the West hate Haitians for being the first free Black republic up from slavery. Yeah, and that's a big issue. And they want to make an example of them to show the rest of the Africa. Okay, they got freed and did what they want to do. You could go ahead and try it if you want. And they've been suffering ever since. Pioneer says, this is what I mean. What's stopping the Black churches around Texas from showing some Christian love and take some food and water down there to keep the people from dehydrating and starving? It's the same thing that's keeping them from showing you the books of how much money they bring in every week. It's the same thing. The pastor will not let you see those books. If they're a 4.3C, you can literally go into a church. If they're a nonprofit, they must, by law, show you their books. Notice the pastors, they never, we don't have it. They never have it. But then again, we don't know that. Jafia says they brought a lot of Haitians into the U.S. after the first earthquake. They never gave them papers. Those are some of the people who will be sent back. Exactly. And then what's a lot of Haitians? See, Jafia, I agree with what you're saying there, but what's a lot of Haitians? In less than a week, 180,000 Afghans with no papers were flown in here and given resources. So what's a lot?
And it doesn't sound like they're being mandated to take the Afghans.
Exactly. Pioneer says, well, one of the reasons most Black Latinos don't identify as Black is because of how the Spanish classifies race. I'll explain it over several posts. Exactly. In Haiti was a French colony under Napoleon Bonaparte. And so the language is different and a lot of their laws are different. By the way, Louisiana and the Louisiana French territory, but specifically Louisiana. Do you guys know Louisiana is the only state that falls under the Napoleonic laws? There are no counties in Louisiana, none of that. Okay, they have parishes, and that's under French law. A lot of people don't know that. So Moni says, so when Trump was in office, he never enacted giving child tax credit and give extra money to buy food, whether you're single or with kids. Let's be clear. I do want to point that out. That's true. But he did give a lot of stimulus. He did give a lot of stimulus out. He did do that. Yeah, Sunlight Vietnamese got plenty of assistance. Yes, how could you arrive here right into the Bay? You get 2% financing loans, everything you need to set up to be successful. And you just got here. You don't even speak the language. You're not a legal citizen, but you're giving all the tools you need to be a successful people. The second biggest Vietnamese community outside of Vietnam is where? Little Saigon, Orange County, California. And they're expanding out into the Inland Empire and all that other stuff, Demetria. And Demetria knows that as well. Moni says, at the end of the day, I'm glad that we can keep our insurance. In many of these countries, they don't even have decent, state coverage. Only in the European countries do they give universal health care. Well, that's not necessarily true. Most countries, like here in the Dominican Republic and even in Haiti, they have a universal health care situation. It ain't like they just say, okay, you're just a stray dog out there, go do your thing. It ain't great health care, but it's health care and it's universal. And if you can't pay, you just can't pay. There's nothing they can do about that. So most countries have a universal healthcare system. The United States, we are the only country one of the only countries that doesn't have it, and we pay more to get less. Look at all the people that have been affected by the jab and all the stuff that's going on health-wise, cancer, whatever. We pay all of this money. Nothing's being cured. How am I in the DR and they have a lower ratio of jabbing deaths than the United States? Please explain that to me. I'm in a third world country. Or is it you're in a third world country? Pioneer says, in English, nations like the US and Canada, any Black or Native American blood gets you classified as Black or Native American respectively. Yeah, that's been for years. Olivia says, we are our own allies. Put the religious thing on the back burner and handle everything as a group and then figure things out later. But here's the thing, even in a group has to have a leader. We have to have a leader. Even a group has a leader. What kind of leaders have we been electing? That's the question. We get leaders that don't want to do anything for us. They want to do it for themselves. And that's, I think, a big problem. The Lightbringer, I like that name. They are afraid of Haitian voodoo. Yeah. They say here there's, I guess, 3% of the population dabs into the voodoo, 2 to 3%. Yeah. LaMarcus Watkins, what's up, y'all? What's up, LaMarcus? The Spanish nations like Puerto Rico and Mexico and Dominican Republic, any Spanish answer to get you classified as Spanish, despite how much Black or Native American ancestry you have, or dark, you are right. It's just like going down to Rio, Brazil, de Janeiro, and all that other stuff, doing that. Anise says, Demetra, try the Lip Bar lipstick. It's Black owned and has a large variety of reds. You'll love them. So write that down. And Thunder says, we're behind enemy lines, so we circle our wagons and use our money. Like Dr. Claude Anderson said, there's a 5-story building. We use his method. Exactly. You guys ever see the remake of Dawn of the Dead? Remember when they were stuck in the buildings and stuff, and Ving Rhames was like talking to the guy at the other building, but all the inhumanity was going on? That's the kind of the analogy I think he was going with that. LaMarcus says, I think Biden is smoking some of his son's stuff. Did you guys see Trump talking mad mess on Joe Biden's son the other day? It was crazy. Pioneer says, this is why a lot of light-skinned people who are called Black in America are classified as mulatto or Spanish in Latin America. Correct. Moni, they're coming up with some of the laws in California for Blacks. You can't be fired if you wear your natural hair. Yeah, now if somebody calls the police on you, you can be put in jail. Pretty good in California. Well, like I said, I have to look that up. I'm not really familiar with that. But if they can't fire you for that, they're going to find a very creative way to fire you. So Pioneer says, Donovan, you are correct. Hold up. It just jumped. Misty Blue. I love that name. I'm going to get to that. Wait, hold up. You guys are just coming in.
You are correct, Brother Donovan. Every generation of the so-called the Democrats and Republicans flip the script and switch sides. One becomes the open-minded party and the other one becomes the intolerant one. TJ says, not the broke, low-budget Denzel. Okay, Donovan, I get what you're saying. And AMPDM1, he says, I knew it. How you doing? You find it?
Yeah. Moni says, here in Detroit within Southwest, many of the Hispanics are more lighter than than naturally, and some of them, others, they become intimidated over the shade of skin you got. Well, I can tell you here in the Dominican Republic, if you got the money, they don't care how dark you are, okay? So, and like I said, there's some stuff going on down here. I love people watching. It is a show. Pioneer says, Brother Don, you're right. We need to think about our brothers and sisters in the diaspora. It's not just common sense, but basic humanity. Exactly. Even some white folks at least act like they feel sorry. Yeah. There's a congressional person running. I don't know if you guys saw it on my page. It was called White Ladies for Reparations. So there are some groups that, that are out there trying to do it, but again, how many of us know that these groups are out there? LaMarcus says Biden is okay. I got that. I think Donovan is doing good, and my heart is hurting for the meteor. I don't like seeing. Oh, for Demetra, I don't like seeing her sick, and I want her to do well. I truly love and adore you. Always to meet you when you get back. Let's do more. The Pioneer says, a poster earlier said the enemy of our enemy is our friend. I'm not so sure about the Europeans and Arabs may be enemies, but neither are the friends of the Black people. We should be careful. Exactly. If you look at the continent of Africa, Northern Africa is what? Arab. More Southern is Black. So, and Moni says, Demetra, take this weekend and rest and let Donovan take over. And I want to get better. I want you to get better fully. I wish I could cook maybe some homemade chicken noodle soup with rosemary in there. Be blessed. And Thunder says, Dr. Claude Anderson's 5-story building, 1 floor economics, 2nd floor politics, 3rd floor justice, 4th floor media, 5th floor education. This is the blueprint. It all starts with the money. Come on, people. It's not hard. Brother, thank you for that. That makes all sense in the world. Pioneer says, I keep saying over and over that intelligent and decent Black folks need to get together and build communities. Many of these athletes have money, but are too stupid to think along those lines. Yeah, they rather just make it rain in the club. You hear about these athletes dropping $15,000, $25,000, $50,000 in a club. Moni says, Demetra, if you fall, you can go with a spice. If you want, you can go with a spice, orange, gold, bronze, and as usual, deep burgundy fuchsia. I would love to see you do fuchsia. Fuchsia. I would love to see you do a nail and skincare show. I would like to back you up with that since it's in the beauty world. I saw the Queen's eyes when I said I support the right of a woman to be a prostitute as long as she's not forced. Well, you have to understand, sis, I'm not religious and don't think sex is sinful. Correct. We want a lady in the street and a freak in the sheets.
Well, you know, sex is not sinful. We made it sinful. You know, right. One of my favorite authors is Paulo Coelho. He wrote The Alchemist, and his book 11 Minutes. He talked about how man perverted sex. Now, he said the only reason sex is bad is when people harm kids and, you know, other people with it. But other than that, it's to enjoy and to procreate. But we made it dirty. Right.
Very salacious. Thunder says, we reach our holy books. We reach to the sky. We reach the other people when we need help. Why don't we reach in our own damn pockets? Preach, brother. Angela Rester says, I think that they were already anti-Black. No way all of a sudden propaganda changed their minds so quickly. And Moni says, Donovan, you sound like you really support a lot of them Republicans, and they've been getting their head whooped on from California to Texas to Michigan and various states. People are tired. Well, you know, the older you get, the more conservative you get. That's just the fact and how you do it. If you think about it, if you're an older person like myself, I'm not going to do that wild stuff when I was a young Thundercat. I'll be more conservative. I'm more cautious about things when I do my investments and all that other stuff. You guys don't pay attention to Demetra. But you know what I mean? But, you know, it's just human nature to become more conservative, right? Because you have a lot to lose because, you know, when you're young, you're out there going through the journey. So, yeah, do I vote Republican? Yeah, in some instances, I do vote Republican because my money is on the table. But again, I'm more of a liberal person. So it's like, hey, I'll do this, I'll do that, I'll do this. But I honestly believe people, as you get older, you do become more conservative. Misty Blue says, oh, I love that name. Misty Blue. Wait. Music break.
Hold up, homie. I would have never thought that's what you were singing. Never. I thought you were doing like the Call to the Wild or Tarzan.
Who was the singer of that song? The original singer?
I want to say Etta James, but that don't sound right.
No. That was way after Etta James. I forgot her name, but do me a favor and look it up, or anybody that might know it. I know that was the lady's only hit single. I have the album, and my mom had it, and I got it now. But yeah, great. That's a great single, and that's a beautiful name.
Dorothy Moore?
Yes, Dorothy Moore. Yes, that's her. Yes. Misty Blue says, we are in trouble now, and y'all better know it. We have a spirit of complaints and hating while everyone else is doing what it takes to survive. Say that again. Thunder says, I honestly believe that if we decide to leave this place, a large number of us, they may try and stop us. And if that is the case, that means we are in captivity. Thunder, exactly. We are the economic foundation of the United States. Even though they dog us out and they do what they got to do, they know that if Black people leave here, this country economically will collapse. We will collapse. So Pioneer says, Queen, my moral code is different than many because I get much of my morals from my conscience and logic, not some book. So I think unjustified violence is the biggest sin, not having sex or paying for it. Thunder says, once you realize that you are in captivity, it is your duty to escape. Exactly. Once you realize, okay, you already said that. Once you are in captivity, you are not supposed to find a comfortable spot in your captivity. Correct. I fell in love. Pioneer says, I fell in love with the Haiti people when I was still living in Detroit and used to go to Canada and went up to Montreal where hundreds of thousands of Haitians live. Beautiful people, very beautiful. Yeah, there's a guy on the beach. He's Haitian. I give him all my money when I come to the beach. I always deal with him. I give him a big tip. I get great service. hey, feed your family, man. I'm here to help you feed your family. Misty Blue says, look, America has always allowed immigrants to come here and to get ahead, and we are the fools who woke up too late after we have contributed to their cause of getting ahead. I agree with you, Misty Blue, but you also got to remember, FBA and ADOS people are the only people who did not come here willingly. We didn't have a plan. We didn't come here willingly. So our experience will always be different from people who actually came here. You've got Black people that have come here in the 1960s. Kamala Harris, she's a first generation American, right? And she's vice president, by the way. On the back and the door that we opened, and they get all this opportunity. But yet everything is always kept to keep us down and not to give us our opportunities. And it's just sad. Nobody benefited from affirmative action more so than white women. Now, affirmative action was supposed to help Black people get a leg up, right? Did it? No. Misty Boo says, look, America. Okay, Pioneer says, Brother Don, there's also a huge Vietnamese community in Louisiana, near New Orleans and the Texas border. Many were brought directly there after the war to support the Black economic power, right? But the second, and that's why I kind of said the second biggest group is in California. Because when I was in Vietnam, stomping in Vietnam in Saigon, everybody that I knew, right, I encountered said, I have a family member in Orange County, California. Coco Chanel, I love that. Yes, the religious stuff has been practically poisoned. Misty Blue says, who's our leaders? Al Sharpton, Jesse Jackson? I hope not. I hope not. Let's see, it jumped up again.
Angela, you say, if American bombs you, you can be a refugee, but if you resist and are successful, you will be divided and the mainland will be sanctioned, i.e. North, NA and North and South Korea. Okay.
Right. And Pioneer says Donovan is correct. In Caribbean nations like the DR and Haiti, the rates for the virus and all diseases are lower in Black people part because the people get more vitamin D being closer to the equator. Yeah, that's what they say as part of the reason. Moni says, not only that time will tell, Demetri and Donovan, I like the fact that California is one of the many states passed the law for Black people stopping Amy Cooper types from calling the police needed all over. Like I said, when I get back, I'm going to research that because all I know is
the Karen Act. The Karen Act. New York is also passed, and a couple other states have passed it. I know San Francisco, they did something as well to stop Black people, other people from calling police on Black people unnecessarily.
Yeah. I mean, but then again, is it a symbolic law? There's a lot of laws on the books that sound great, but what do? They actually, I mean, you're going to put a white woman in jail because she called on a Black person in a racist country?
Actually, I think New York has done it. I guess it's really supposed to be a deterrent, but
yeah. And that's my point. I mean, it might work in some cases, but overall, do you think if a rich white lady called, something's really going to happen to her? I really doubt that. But anyway, the Pioneer says, Donovan, don't get into the zombie flicks like the Dawn of the Dead. That's one of my favorite movies. I not only like the 2004 one with Vin Rames, but I love the original one as well. Yeah, that was awesome when they're in the mall there. Jafia says, it's definitely against the law in New York City to call the police unnecessarily on Black people. No FDA approved boosters, right? Olivia, and that was Patrick's time. Olivia says, Demetri, do you need me to get some of that old fashioned tea to you right away? And hey, Jonelle, my brother Jonelle, Peace Queen, Brother Donovan, and Brothers and Donovan and family, welcome. Misty Blue, Queen Demetri, get well, drink some tea of your choice, and stay hydrated. Like Moni was talking about, another reason our people are so much healthier down in the Caribbean is because they eat a lot of hot and spicy foods. Yes, that's I believe that. They eat a ton of hot peppers like cayenne peppers and stuff. So yes. I think that everybody gets their season. People were tired of number 45. I could take another 4 years of him. So I couldn't take another 4 years of him. So they need to bring a new person, let somebody else have a shot at it flat out. Okay. She's talking to Sunlight, and Georgia Rose is laughing. Ooh, she had such a powerful voice too. Misty D, Mr. D's News. Hey there, Demetri and Donovan. What's going on, Mr. D? Thunder, the person who sings Misty Blue is Dorothy Moore. Thank you very much. Dorothy Moore, exactly. Dorothy Moore. Yeah, see, there you guys are on it. Sunlight. Donovan Sneak, you're an independent. Yeah, like I said, I'm still recovering. You guys need to get into recovery, okay? Some of you guys got gambling addiction. Some of you guys got, political addictions. I had a political addiction. I got into recovery. And, Sometimes recovery is good. Sometimes it'll help. The Pioneer, you're right. The older you get, the more conservative you usually get because you tend to become less tolerant to newer things. However, supporting Trump isn't about conservatism because he's not a conservative. Exactly. And those that know, he's not a conservative. He's actually a Democrat. I mean, is what he is. And he's a white supremacist. Let's get that overall. Forget the Democrat, Republican. He's a white supremacist first. Anise says, you know, I know. And Georgia Rose talking to me, stick to the skiwi, please. I'll do that. You're an independent, right? And Moni says, people keep saying that when they bring in foreigners, they're going to replace Black. Let's be clear. It can never be no human being that can replace us because where was they at in the time of slavery? Well, I think they mean more in economics and, nation building. Because right now, Moni, think about it. You've got young Black men that are sitting on street corners that can't even tie their freaking shoe. They have no skills. When we were coming up, there was always a guy that knew auto mechanics down the street. There was always a guy that knew carpentry. There was always a guy that knew something within our community. And you see that going on in all the other communities but our own. Whose fault is that? It could be a plethora of people's fault. But it was the civil rights generation that told us, take your money and go down to Woolworths. Now we could go downtown and spend our money. And we haven't recovered since. Yeah, and Misty Blue said, yes, Dorothy Moore and Donovan, you are. She's laughing. So Olivia says, I thought he was singing Young Michael.
Don't do Michael like that. Don't do Michael like that.
Anyway, Anise says, Monica remade it and she did not sound right singing Misty Blue. Did she? I know Mary J. Blige did a version of it. Misty Blue, and it was on her live album, Mary J. Blige.
Didn't she do it with Usher as well, Monica, if I'm not mistaken?
Yeah, no, that was Slow Jam. She did that with Usher. Slow Jam. Mm-hmm. So, and Sunlight. Oh, God, I hate this thing jumps. You guys are just coming in on me. All right, everybody stop typing so I can catch up. There you go. So, Demetra,
she says, I guess it's not apparent, but we are in captivity, and I lost my spot.
Yeah, as we speak. And Sunlight says, Misty Blue, Sharp Tongue, and Jesse, our agenda is the leader, right? Moni says, without us Black people in this country, we will fail instantly, and I can't wait. From the very White House to every train track, that it is so they block you from returning home. Exactly. The triple Kamala was raised as an East Indian, not as a Black. She was raised in a strictly Indian community in Canada. That's exactly right. That's why when she makes these tropes of how her family used to celebrate Kwanzaa, how many people of Indian descent, India and Asia, celebrate Kwanzaa? How many of them do it? None of them. And those are masala. A lot of them are masalas. They don't do it. But so, like I said, it's about power for her. And notice she's been very quiet lately, as well as this Haitian situation going on. Where's the vice president's opinion on this? Olivia says, when will we be doing the music thing? Just a small break, 30 minutes at most, for just straight enjoyment. And Donovan, not all of us were brought over as slaves. For real. No, that's absolutely right. Not all of us were brought over here as slaves. But, I get tired of talking about the minority, okay? 70% of Black people live at the poverty level, below it, at it, or just above it. 70% of us. A small group of us are okay and going to do well. Not everybody came here as a slave. But the point is this: how long do you think it's going to take before that small minority is going to be overtaken if the majority of us are not well as well? Once they get rid of the majority, they're eventually going to come after that minority. That's just how it works. And I'm in the military, and they taught us that. You kill the body, or what's that saying? The fish rots from the head down. Right. So, I mean, it works. But you're absolutely right, Olivia. I'm not going to take that away from you. Pioneer, most Africans and Caribbeans who come to the U.S. come here to go to school and work, not bother us, fundamental Blacks. Picking on them is just one more excuse to pick up on and other Black folks instead of the real enemy. Right. I mean, and that's what they're going to continue to do to keep us divided and separated. Just what they're doing in politics. Look over here. We just gave you guys a Juneteenth day. Oh, hip hop, this, that. And unfortunately, a lot of us fall for it. Thunder says, we don't need leaders. What we need is an ideology. The ideology will last long after the leader is gone, and that ideology is Black first. Right, but we have to be one in theory, but most of us aren't. You know, we've been taught to be individuals. You know what I mean? Me first, me first. There's no more community with us. I mean, we have it, but you guys know what I'm saying? There's no more community. Moni says, Donovan, I did disagree. What I see in the future, more Blacks are going to migrate back to Africa. Many doctors, lawyers, architects, construction workers, and in time, in various parts, will rebuild the globe better. Well, I'm going to tell you this. I've run into some Americans here, and I'm going to tell you, I've heard so many complaints from Americans here in the DR that are here to vacation, talk about, ooh, there's bugs. Ooh, there's this. Ooh, my AC doesn't work. The internet doesn't do this. You're in another freaking country. This is basically a jungle. What are you expecting here? And that's the problem. When they talk about the ugly American, that's what they're talking about. I don't believe, like me, I'm fine in a tent. I can deal with places, and we go there with that American mentality that we expect this and we expect that because that's how it was in America. So I'm gonna have to disagree with you on that, but I still love the comment. Because Chico Man 53 says, because they get the Black vote, Democrats need to be put on Front Street for what they are doing for the Black, what they are and are not doing for the Black people, right? The Pioneer says, like Nellie Fuller Jr. said, weak people often like finding other weak people to take their frustration out on, like a husband mistreated at work will come home and abuse his wife. Yeah, that's, ooh. Jonelle says, much healing and blessings to you, Queen Demetra K. What's the acronym for that?
Amen.
Okay, Amen. Amen. The Pioneer says, so when I see all these Afro-Americans bashing Africans and Caribbeans as if they are the reason our community is in the shape it's in, it's simply finding a weaker victim to pick on. Okay, well, let me ask you this, Pioneer. And like I said, I love the way you're throwing everything out. And that's what we need to start doing. Difference of opinions. We can't be monolithic because we're not. Difference of opinions to make us critically think. Are resources finite? That's what you got to ask yourself. Are there unlimited resources? So if Nancy Pelosi says there's $1 trillion for ADOS people and FBAs, if they say there's $1 trillion and everybody else puts their hand in it, how long is that money that's supposed to be for a certain group of people going to be? And that's what we got to understand. Resources are not infinite. They're not. It's a set thing. And once they're gone, they're gone. Then what do? We helped all this stuff like that. And that's kind of what, where I'm going with that. I hate when I do that.
Thunder says, we can really ruin things for the Democratic Party. They need us more than we need them. Name 3 things that they've done specifically to help the Black community. Let's take away our vote and our money from them. Pioneer says, speaking of white supremacy, did you see when Joe Biden referred to one of his Black cabinet members who was a whole grown man as a boy? Yes, from Louisiana. I don't think he can hold it back.
Yeah, exactly. And Pioneer says, everybody stop typing. I never heard Demetra say that, although I know she was probably thinking it many times. Still doing good, though. Thank you, man, bro. I appreciate it. Thunder says, why so many Black people are afraid not to vote for the Democrats? Not saying voting Republican. I'm saying don't vote Democrat. You're going to get the same result either way. All that nothing will still be there. Exactly. Did any of you guys see the Democratic recall election? What did the Democrats say? Vote no and fill nothing in. It's very, very simple. If nobody's filled in, nobody could take a spot, even if he did get, recalled. You know what I mean? So Olivia says, I totally agree with you, Donovan. No harm. Yeah. Also, Asians are Latinos, but you don't hear anything from the Latino community at large about the plight in Haiti, whether it's about the assassination of Moise or the earthquake. Yeah, it's nice and quiet here. It's not. It's all about the money. Chico Man 53. If you kill the body, the head dies. Right. As well. Either way. But a fish rots from the head down. When you die, rigor mortis starts from the brain down. So, the head's a very good thing. Olivia Seymour says, I'm 43 and still learning with patience. Right. And Sunlight, Cedric Richmond deserved every bit of Biden's disrespect. I feel nothing for him. Yeah, that brother's a bootlick from the bootlick. And Pioneer says, just like there are Black Latinos, there are Black Arabs, but just like many Black Arabs aren't considered real Arabs, many Black Latinos aren't considered real Latinos. There's a reason for this, right? And Olivia Seymour says, Chinese are trying and partially succeeding and taking over Africa, so I disagree too, right? But who is giving them those deeds? Who is giving them the right to farm and farm those minerals out? The Black leadership there, you know? So let's see. Sorry, here, jumped up. Yeah, okay, here it is. Thunder said, the sad part is I think we will unite as a community. The only problem is I think we might be united once we are all in those cattle cars taking a final ride to destination unknown. Exactly. The gas ovens will be built before you realize they're hot. Olivia says, don't do Demetra all kinds of way. That's now my big sister, so I'll come for you. And Sunlight says, Africans and Caribbeans bash Black Americans more than anything. That's true, especially once they get to America. We are not, Mr. D's News says, we are not benefiting from Juneteenth nor from Hip Hop Day. The white supremacists are benefiting from it because they are going to use our dollars on those days to make money, right? But look at the symbolism that the Congressional Black Caucus constantly throws at us, and the majority of us that aren't in the know fall for it. And Pioneer says, Brother Donovan, resources are only finite if you're relying on others for your resources. It's like the give a man a fish analogy. But if you're producing your own resources, they are abundant. You're correct. Absolutely correct. And Jonelle says, we must become a people to think independent and beyond the scope of our colonizers. Regulation where there is no vision, the people perish. We have our own Black reality to build as others are build theirs. We need, jumped up there. Paris, we have our own Black reality to build as others are build theirs. We must stop looking to work for others' sovereignty before our own. The Pioneer says, if we were less dependent on Caucasians for food, jobs, and other resources, produce our own jobs and resources, then so many wouldn't be so protective over the biscuits coming from Master. You said it, brother. You said it. Nathan Washington, man, I'm coming to a point. I have a little patience that don't want to get on code, and I'm 25. I can't imagine what I'll be like in my 40s. And here's another thing about the upcoming midterms. They're saying Generation Y and the millennials, they might be sitting out, and that's why the Democrats are going to be decimated. You thought when Obama lost the House, when he got elected, was bad. They're saying it's going to be nothing like that. The Pioneer says, Brother Don, I think you done caught up on these comments, man. I'm impressed. Good job. No, what it was, I told people to stop typing.
Let's transition really quick because y'all was talking about Rikers Island. So I read up on it. And so, as with a lot of prisons or jails, rather, because that's what Rikers Island is, a big, giant jail. There's a lot of inhumane things that are going on there. And they said, it's garbage, it's overcrowded, there's feces, there's roaches everywhere. It's just a nightmare. They're completely overcrowded. So the new governor, she just signed to release almost 200 inmates from there. And I guess it was a proposal that was supposed to go forth in next year, but they're going to start it early. And they said a lot of those people who are in there, which we already know that, right, are there for like traffic tickets and low-level offenses that, shouldn't have them there for as long as they are there. I mean, there's people there who have not even gone to court at all for, they shouldn't even be in there in the first place, right? One of the most recent cases is that of Khalif Browder. You guys know, he was a 16-year-old, I think, at the time. Went to jail for being accused of stealing a backpack. He was there for about 3 years, and the most horrible things happened to him. Never did go to court or any of that, and he was finally released, but he could not bond out. I guess money was an issue too, but he shouldn't have never been in there in the first place. And so Rikers Island, they're trying to let people out. It sounds like they need to let out, a whole bunch more than what they are doing now. But the one thing I love about the situation is I don't love the situation, but one thing I love is that the inmate says, you know what, enough. And it's caused them to act, imagine the stuff that we don't hear about, all the brutality and, and things like that. I mean, for God's sake, they got people's children in there. Now, I'm not saying there's some children that don't belong in jail. There's a lot of children that have done some heinous things, but they do have children in there with grown men enduring a lot of horror. And so those inmates force them to act. They have taken over the the jail. And it also sounds like with this new legislation that the governor and all that is trying to enact, they're going to punish correctional officers for taking off from work for no good reason at all. So, I guess I can kind of see their point. They're going to a place where it's just like, what can I really do to be effective? And so they probably get stressed out and call off. I know correctional officers who work doubles, and so how much on your square can you be if you're in an environment like that and you're working a double shift, not because you want to, because you have to. There's a shortage and all of that. So, big ups to those inmates in there for forcing the hand of white supremacy, because that's who has them in there. You guys know, it's predominantly Black people with those brown people in there as well. But that's who are busting the seam, the prisons open at the seams is us. And so I'm glad that they forced those mugs to actually do something.
Right. And let me just say this in regards to that. Do you guys know that some of the insurrectionists, some of their arguments for being released or for the case to be dropped, some of their complaints is they're like, oh my God, it's horrible in here. This is against my human rights. Have you guys heard about how that's the filings that they're making to judges to why they should get out of jail? Because I'm in jail and it is horrible in here. Well, what do you think this is supposed to be? Club Fed? This is jail. This is what it looks like. And because it wasn't a problem for you because you weren't in here, because inmates have been filing motions with the Supreme Court and all kinds of appeals courts for decades about the conditions within the prison. But because it's mostly Black and brown people, those things were just discarded. You're just a piece of crap to deal with it. But now Opie Cunningham is now subjected to these conditions, and it's inhumane, and he or she should not be in there. Very sad. Very.
And and speaking of which, and Pioneer, I'll start off with your comment about the jail. He says this is the thing. Jafia, you say 1/4 of the staff at Rikers either quit, got fired, or died from COVID. Yeah, so there's a lot of that going on as well. Pioneer says this is the thing with them letting folks out of these jails. We saw this last year when they let thousands of violent people out of jails in the name of COVID, not non-violent, but violent ones. Yeah, I don't think you should be in jail indefinitely for a parking ticket, or even if you owe back child support. You got the jails are overcrowded. And of course, opponents of them being let out say, "Oh, you're going to let all these violent people out on the streets." It's like, well, little do people realize is prison is supposed to be for people who are, let's say, violent and done some horrible things. But, you got a traffic ticket or a warrant for that. You in jail until they get ready to talk to you. It's like, but we already know the system was designed to harm Black people in that manner. And, speaking of Joe Biden, he's the father of all this mass incarceration. And here you are, at Rikers Island, that they're finally tapping out like, okay, we're going to let some of these people up out of here because, obviously it's more of them than it is of correctional staff. So it's like, what you gonna do?
And this isn't the first time that this happened. In the 1970s, how many of you guys remember Attica that had happened? So in the time that Attica happened, up until this time, you mean the system got worse? Oh, that's right. You know why? Because most of the people that are locked up are Black and brown people. It just doesn't make sense. They were saying the exact same thing 50 years ago in Attica. And here we are today.
Yeah, and of course, mass incarceration, which mass means a lot, on a grand scale, that has disproportionately affected Black people. And so from the days of Attica, the prison population wasn't what it is today, right? They just locking Black people up for any and everything. And especially with that 3 strikes law, you could be in jail for 25 to life behind stealing a pizza on your 3rd offense. And so, that doesn't address, them letting people out of Rikers Island, because there's a lot of Rikers Islands per se all over the United States that needs to, do an internal investigation and let these people out. But You know, it doesn't address the larger issue, and that legislation did that. Legislation. And, you know, how is it that we, you know, I'm just saying in general, in America, the government, they going everywhere else, you know, Afghanistan, to help with their, you know, the Taliban is doing this and that to people, but you got a whole Rikers Island with people being brutalized and held in there for stupid stuff. But yeah, you don't feel like that's a humane thing that you need to act. I mean, we're hearing about it, they hear about it, but you know what? Like Joe Biden said at that comment, he says, if Haiti a god awful thing to say, let me put this up here because I can't see it. Says if Haiti a god awful thing to say, if Haiti just quietly sunk into the Caribbean and rolls up 300 feet, it wouldn't matter a whole lot in terms of our interests. And that was said in 1994 when the Clinton administration was talking about going into Haiti because of the overthrowing of the president then. And so, you know, it doesn't surprise us that they don't care for Black people. You know, like Rikers Island has a lot of Black people in there, and a lot of Black people in there for, like I said, nonsense. And so they're more interested in what's going on, you know, thousands and thousands of miles overseas than they are the stuff that's going on in their backyard. So.
Right. You know, but here's my question to a lot of you guys out there. In the Pizarro world, and Pizarro is like the opposite Superman, the opposite, if you guys follow comics. How does a man that makes those kind of statements, that has a record that this man has, become president overwhelmingly with Black people support? That's what I don't understand. It doesn't make sense to me. Are we just voting people because, ooh, I think he's so handsome. Ooh, Joe Biden, oh, he got Do you know what I mean? It doesn't make sense how a person with that kind of record gets to become president of the United States. On his third try, got caught plagiarizing twice, and he becomes president of the United States. Let me ask you guys that are out there that are business owners. That, to me, it's almost like, here's a man, you do a background check on him, right? He's robbed a couple of banks, did a couple of drug deals, definitely can't get a passport because of his background, and you hire him anyway. I'm not saying, you know, former felons shouldn't be given a second chance, but I'm just saying when you look with that rap sheet that goes 50 years of nothing to show for it, how does this man become president to make the decisions that he makes? That's what I don't understand.
And I'm gonna get to y'all comments really quick. Let's see here. And let me see. I'm trying to figure out where I left off. Okay, and the Pioneer says, like they say in church, the devil is a lie. We need to know exactly who they are releasing into the community and where they will be going, and are they on any type of antipsychotic medication? Well, a lot of them are nonviolent offenders. I mean, it's just a fact. Look it up. That a lot of people are in jail because they simply cannot bond out over very simple infractions. Jafia says there's a lot of people in Rikers who shouldn't be there. I work in the forensic psych unit of a state penitentiary, and there are a lot of people there that shouldn't be there as well. Good point. And Olivia says, hit the like button. For real, we need this info sooner than later. Yes, indeed. Thank you so much. And Jafia says, New Yorkers don't go to jail for parking tickets. Okay. And Misty Blue says, I hate the American court system against us. It always has been. Pioneer says, I agree with the Queen. You shouldn't be held in jail for traffic tickets or bad checks. However, are we sure they are the ones being let out? Nipsey got killed by some nut they let out of jail. I mean, we can never be too sure, but I mean, even if you didn't want to let people out, why not, you know, build another? And I hate to say that because I'm not for that, but I mean, you got people living in the most inhumane conditions and you think they're supposed to just sit? I mean, would you? I'm just asking a general question. Would you want to sit in any, and you know, I've never been to jail, but I know that jail cells aren't nothing to write home about, but would you want to sit in a small area with a bunch of other people with feces everywhere? Roaches running around. Yeah, mystery meat and all that other stuff. Yeah, so and Artemis, how you doing? It says we need more preachers like Nat Turner and William Barber, and lesser like Al Sharpton, Jesse Peterson. We need to hold our elected officials accountable to us. Yes, indeed. And Jonelle says Chauvin was given presidential treatment and was even in jail wasn't even in jail during his trial. So just imagine where he is now. Some of these so-called places of confinement is lavish for white privileged prisoners, and while poor Black, Mexican, and even poor white prisoners get the worst of the bias. There's even injustice in prison. Oh, for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you guys remember the movie Goodfellas? What did Henry say when he went to jail? They don't go where the blacks and the brown people go. They're Italian, they're mafia, they're paying off everybody. That is why, like Sandra Bland, she couldn't find anybody to give her $400. Even today, how many of you guys have friends that if they said, "Hey, can I borrow $400?" You're quick to do this. Well, I mean, but that's prevalent in our community, and those are just the facts. That is why reparations is the only thing that is going to dig us out of this hole.
Yes, indeed. And Moni, you say when you look at Kamala, you see what she's married to. You cannot expect this woman, like many that marry the oppressor, to say they're for blacks, and yet they're not. Kind of hits home with. And the Pioneer says, first of all, Rikers Island is a jail, not a prison. And unlike prison, jail is supposed to be a place of, isn't supposed to be a place of punishment, but a place to hold you until and during your trial. Absolutely. But it's turned into something else. Sunlight says he was killed by an informant working for the police. Now, who was the he?
I'm talking about the Nipsey hustle.
Oh, yeah. That's what the word on the street is, right? And Penelope, how you doing? It says blacks voted for Biden and just to get rid of Trump, but I don't see the difference at all. It's worse for black people. Chico Man, you say they made him look better than Trump. Pioneer says many of these jails are prison laboratories where our brothers and sisters are experimented on and treated like animals to where their minds are so destroyed. True. Artemis says Jim Clyburn was supporting Joe Biden 100%. We need to call Jim Clyburn to answer for why Joe Biden. Well, Joe Biden greased his palm with a lot of money too, Yeah,
and Clyburn doesn't give a damn. What you gonna do? How you gonna check me, boo? He don't care. You know what, Artemis? You're not invited to the fish fry.
Pioneer says, since you keep saying that there are a lot of nonviolent people in jail, I'll do one better. There are a lot of innocent people in jail, but they are the ones actually being let out. How are we sure? Well, I don't know how we can be sure, but hopefully they got their ducks in a row there, and they know, I don't know why they wouldn't, right? But we know there's a lot of people who are just.
Yeah, well, ask yourself this, okay? Even if you are in the injustice system like this, and they let you out of jail, do you have enough money? This system is set up to where you have to have a lawyer to dutifully defend yourself. And they say in the court system, only a fool represents themselves. So the system's been set up to where you got to have dinero to even defend yourself. And us as a people, do we have that? That's why a lot of us were taking plea deals, which doesn't make sense, but that's just how it is. And that's where we're at the bottom of this economic scale and how they do the system.
Mr. Blue says, I'm sure, I'm going to be honest, I used to vote without even investigating who was running. And since I've been in tune with the black media and hashtag, I know better now to investigate them. Yes, indeed. And Penelope says, I think all nonviolent criminals should just serve probation and leave the violent ones locked up and ineligible for expungements in the future. I agree with you. Robin says, didn't Biden say something about letting Haiti sink? Yeah, I hope you saw what I just put up. Mona says, but I noticed, he says, but I noticed they make every effort to stop us from returning back to Africa. They don't mind a few here and there, but I wonder what would happen if just 40% would return home. Man, that would be beautiful.
Right, let me take it from there. Mr. Blue says, reparations is a must. The government needs to cut the check right now. You damn right. I don't want to get all hyped up. Robin says, I remember that, but we're supposed to use our taxes for the refugees. You damn right. Let black people have money in their pocket? We're going to do everything we can to take that money out of your pocket. Whatever happened to those stimulus checks that were on the way? If you got Warnock in office, they're on the way. Jafia says less than 20 million blacks are eligible to vote, as at least 8 million lost their privilege, and the rest are children. So Joe would have won without the black vote. Damn it. There it is. Donovan, when I say what I see it on the psychic ass back, and I've been known here in Detroit to be in many newspapers as I sent newspaper clips to Dimitri to show you my work speaks for itself. Amen. I mean, I'm the last to dispute that. As long as you ain't got those roots. Yeah, I think you put some roots on me. I can see more disasters coming to the land, to the food, and more viruses is going to be far worse than COVID, that many are going to become more rich in light of new upcoming shutdowns. Wait and see. Right. By the way, Moni, you never sent me that picture of your 24, 36, 20, whatever that measurement is. Artemis says, we need to get a copy of the Black Law Dictionary and read it. Yeah. I mean, just basic knowledge of your rights. A lot of people don't even know their basic rights. We have what Demetra taught me was an appeal to authority. They got a badge, we automatically appeal. Pioneer says, sis, that's why I keep saying I don't trust these people. We don't know who they are letting out into our communities. Like I said, back in 2020, they released a lot of Frankensteins in the neighborhood. And the funny thing is, Pioneer, here in the DR, they built a major manufacturing resort that was gentrified. It used to be the ghetto here 30 years ago, according to this German guy that's been coming here for 30 something years. He said that was a ghetto. Now it's a major area. It's the same playbook, just different players. Kelly Dennis says, Biden gave Clyburn's family member a nice cush job. Yeah, she's a political consultant. What does that mean? You've never been in politics before, but money is funneled to you because you claim to be a political consultant. Janelle says, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, all praises too, taught there's going to come a time they're going to have to let all the prisoners go free, and it shows, especially in a prison system and injustice system rooted around revenue and not justice, right? Sunlight says, yes, reparations indeed. Many white families have a family lawyer on retainer like blacks have preachers on speed dial. Cut the damn check. Even Larry Elders was for reparations for white people. Robin Cooper says that the Haitians aren't white looking like the Afghan refugees. That's why they ain't got nothing to say. Pioneer says it's a big mess. And like most of the problems in our community, it's in part our fault for not taking charge and properly policing our own communities and keeping it safe for ourselves. Pioneer, I agree with you 100%. But remember, you only know what you're taught. And so I shut down a lot of civil rights era people when they talk about, our generation ain't shit, the millennials ain't shit, whatever. And I always tell them, well, if we ain't shit, you guys were the ones that taught us. So I agree with you 100%. So many of our people sit back on the couch, smoking weed and giggling, letting white men and police and maintain the community and complain about the job they are doing instead of doing it ourselves. Absolutely right. Absolutely right. Things are happening now, Donovan and Demetra, unlike no other time, that they're getting exactly what they did, just like the story of African Diaspora channel, the African Diaspora channel, and that white female that lied on the little boy. Yeah, I saw that episode. Robin Cooper says, John Lewis, we got to save the little babies. The babies need diapers and milk. So we got to do that. B1, paid in full. B1, fam. B1, my brother. Eli Nye, hello, what's going on? Pioneer, if we built our own schools and policed ourselves like we were supposed to, like the Honorable Marcus Garvey told us to, we wouldn't have so many of our brothers behind bars in the first place. Well, again, I have to agree with Demetra. For every single mother, where are the fathers? Where are the fathers? Sunlight says, every time we've policed our own communities, we got ambushed. Yeah, that's true. Very true. And Eli Nee, do you like my new profile picture? I'm gonna have to go check that out when I get to it. And so, yeah, I mean, again, coming to other countries and seeing other Black folks doing what they're doing, I really can't tell the difference. I really can't tell the difference between if I'm in the United States or if I'm in another country, because Black people, we seem to be in the same level no matter where we go. So, again, Jafia says, abused, bombed, and burned to the ground. Yep. And the Pioneer says, listen, Don, you're doing such a good job of keeping up with these comments. You should ask the mutual permission for an extra 30 to 45 minutes. I'm in the DR. It's Friday.
And I'm holding up here, but I'm like, ooh, my bed sounds good right now.
Yes. Sunlight says, it's a fact that every other race was allowed to have organized crime in their neighborhoods, which protected and improved their neighborhoods, not us. Exactly. My mom used to tell me a story, and a lot of us could agree with that are of our age group. You couldn't just walk into our neighborhood without somebody asking you who you are and what's going on and what are you doing here? So we had our own policing within our neighborhood. Where did that stop? Why wasn't that continued? And the Pioneer says, I bet the black folks in the DR look much better and happier down there than here in the US. Well, I'm gonna tell you this, Pioneer. I've been looking. I have yet to find one homeless person. I have not found one homeless person. But again, that's culturally. They take care of their family members. Why don't we do that?
You skipped over Randy C's comment.
Oh, let me see. Randy C. Randy C. I'm sorry about that. Our woke community is only woke from the mid 80s. They won't recognize what has happened from the late 60s to the point they woke up. We forget or don't really know about Medgar Evers or what he, and your comment cut off. Yeah, Medgar Evers was supposed to be Martin Luther King. He was supposed to be that Martin Luther King, and then they assassinated him and shot him down. Artemis says, we need to turn these churches into learning centers because they are closed 6 days a week. Right, exactly. You know, but then again, in 1968, when the Civil Rights Act was signed in 1968, that gave the churches the 503c tax exemption. That is why that was put into that bill, because at the church was where we used to meet and do our meetings and gather. They put a stop to that, and now we don't gather there anymore. And like you just said, it's closed 6 days out of the week. Why is that when back in the day, the church was never closed? Moni says, all I'm saying, jealousy has ruled these people now, and it now is into the Chinese where you want to take the diamonds so they don't want us to return, but we are there. That's going to be their downfall. Believe that. Yes. Jafai is talking to Sunlight. The Black Panthers were our protection back in the day, right? Sunlight says, it stopped when the drug dealers wanted their customers of other races to come by in our hoods. And they're doing that here, trust me. Hey, Brother Don. I bet Black folks smile a lot more down there than in the U.S., don't they? Yeah, they do. As poor as they are, they smile a lot more and show more white teeth, don't they? Yeah, they do smile. But you got to remember, they're there because they know you're an American. And so they're going to hustle at you. But yeah, people smile. They say hello. To me, people are the same everywhere, you know? Chico Man says, they took out the leaders. Yeah, exactly. Sunlight Stocking. Jafia says, most people don't know that here in New York City, we have a Medgar Evers HBCU college. All the way up in New York City, and Medgar Evers was shot down in Mississippi. Ain't that something? So Eric P says, hello, Donovan and D. I'm sick of hearing the war in Afghanistan, but nobody has the balls to say this country has declared war on its Black citizens. I want to make a disclaimer that the sayings of Eric P is his and his alone. No, I'm joking, just in case. But you are absolutely right, Eric. The Pioneer says, I keep saying we're not going to make too much progress as a community until we start cutting off some of the dead weight and leave the fools, thugs, and ratchets behind. Brother. Moni says, I've seen this curse that is on white supremacy. We are not all the same. Not all of us are. While many of us, and she has raccoons, rats, and all that other stuff. While many of us have work to do every time so many of us become successful, they put in laws to stop it, right? And then we also have a crab basket mentality as a people, right? And Penelope says, I vote. And Jonelle Muhammad says, make sure you get plenty of hot fluids and water, lemons, oranges, garlic, and onions, Queen. Absolutely. And the Pioneer says, that's why I said the intelligent and decent Black folks need to organize and build. One of the problems is good Black folks waste too much time trying to save the no good ones instead of building. Yeah, and I was saying that the other day. Why do we always appeal to the lowest denominator within our community? You know, it's crazy. Misty Blue, are there any Black Panthers in prison today? Yes, there are still a few in prison today. And you would think Bobby Seals, who is a representative since the 1980s and was a Black Panther, he would have at least done something to get his homies out. He bought into the system, just like John Lewis and just like a lot of the civil rights era folks. Artemis says, Donovan, I'm not invited to the fish fry. I was going to bring the fish. Love it. I love that thinking. We need more thoughts like that. And Moni says, at the end of the day, Donovan, you watch what I tell you. Many people are leaving this country just like you're visiting. You may decide at some point you want to live in another country and be well. Well, I could leave if I want to, but I'm not leaving empty-handed. You need to give me my money, you know, because that's for my children and the next generation, because I can, you know, think about it. If we all leave right now with as wealthy as the United States is on our own devices, how long is that money going to last? to wherever we go. How long is it going to last? It won't last long. That's why I'm not leaving here empty-handed. I refuse. Fly on the wall. I have a question, Donovan. What is the United Nations for? I see no purpose for them. Okay, here's the real reason that the United Nations is. The United Nations is a front organization for the United States to exploit other nations under the guise of the food feeding system, the Peace Corps, you name it, whatever. It is a guise to do that. We just lost in Afghanistan, right? What are they talking about in Afghanistan? Oh, we still got Americans there behind lines. What are Americans doing in a war zone? What are they doing there? So the United Nations is nothing but a front organization for the United States to be imperialistic toward other nations. So Eric P., we either lose this passive, nonviolent, good trouble attitude or perish. Exactly. You can only be, I'm violent with people that are violent with me, period. But if you're nonviolent with me, I'll be nonviolent with you. Penelope Pitstop says, Trump's presidency didn't affect my daily life, and I don't care for Democrats. I vote Green Party anyway. Yeah, the last election, I voted Green Party, even though I'm an independent. Jafia says, Mumai Abu Jamal, as known as Wesley Cook, is still in prison, right?
Mamia.
Okay, gotcha. The Pioneer, let's see. Just like I said the other day, how nature was taking its course when Shaka Zulu was laying down all the small trouble-making tribes in Africa and organizing a large, powerful African force. Yeah, you were absolutely right about that, because I totally forgot about that. He united all the tribes. And isn't that funny? Even though I forgot it, that was the most important thing, because you have to unite these tribes to become one people. And that's why China, Korea, and the Philippines, these are monolithic people. Japan, they don't have different cultures within their borders. They are one people. And that's what Shaka Zulu tried to do, make us one people. The United States of Africa. Think about something like that. The United States of Africa. We would be kicking ass all over the globe if we could do that. Moni says, when I see many of the Caribbean islands, they are in love with white people, and you have some that will marry whites and lie and say that they are Indian-like. I've seen other channels, black people. You will see a lot of mulatto children running around here in the DR, okay? There are a lot of light-skinned children running around here in the DR. Great question, Brother D. Mr. Pioneer, we're talking about 200 Americans still stuck in Afghanistan, but what the hell were Americans doing running around in the mountains of Afghanistan in the first place? Exactly. And how many of you guys know this? In Afghanistan, even from the beginning, there were always more contractors than there were troops. So what does that tell you? What does that tell you? Because they can say that, and Congress is in cahoots with this, because you can pull all the troops out, but remember, contractors are not troops. So it's a manipulation of numbers. So there we go with that. Randy C says, I bet America got back into Afghanistan. Watch what happens when the Taliban put a stop to the poppy industry. That's $1 trillion industry for the medical companies in America, just saying. And that was one of the first things that was secured during the Afghan war. And it was still secured even when we left and we turned it over back to the Taliban. Notice there was no such thing as a poppy field being burned or eradicated. You guys ever think about that? That would have been a good high if you lived nearby, but Sunlight says the smart ones do want to come together. We don't need the rest, right? Moni says, Donovan, can you give a list of different Caribbean African countries that have all 4 seasons or have more of a colder climate, as I cannot take intense heat because of sun sensitivity? Well, one of the countries that you're going to deal with is Peru, because they have that mountain range up there. So they do have like the Andes, and it gets cold up there and stuff like that. But outside of Peru, that's probably one of and here Dominican Republic, they have a mountain up here as well. Haiti, Dominican Republic have a old volcano, but 4 seasons wise, not really, because we're by the equator, and the equator, the sun belt of the earth, is where the hottest area is. And notice where the equator is where you see most of your dark people. So, very, very limited. But I say the Peru is one of the places you can get all 4 seasons. We are the only group of people, and this is Thunder, cool, respected to make change through nonviolent means, right? As long as you're nonviolent, we're not worried about you. Randy C, guarding those poppy fields, right? Pioneer, the Black folks will naturally jumped up. Black folks will naturally organize ourselves and stabilize our communities when left alone, right? Which is why we have to keep up instability in Haiti and other Black nations. Look at Nigeria right now, correct. Misty Blue says a bunch of beard white men in Afghanistan. Shaka was South American, and look what happened there after his death. Yeah, just
South Africa.
Mm-hmm.
He was South Africa.
South Africa. Yeah, South Africa. I'm sorry, I was doing that. Thunder.
No, it said South American.
Yeah. Thunder says, I see all of these YouTube channels where white guys are showing all their weapons and tactics, but for some reason, the moment we even talk about self-defense, we start getting nervous. Moni says, if you notice in this pandemic, more Blacks have come into better resources that could not be blocked through, though they may have been blocked in some aspects, but we had more blessings. You watch, it's more to come. Think about this, Moni. If they stopped all of welfare and the social safety net in the United States, what do you think would happen? Literally, what do you think would happen? Would people just, especially Black people, would we just sit down and die? Would we just sit down and die? No, we're going to find a way. We are going to find a way. Okay. So, and the Pioneer says, Nigeria was one of the most stable and well-educated nations in Africa. It still is the most educated up until recently. Then all of a sudden you saw protests and kidnappings and young people with weapons fighting the authorities. Yeah. And that's especially the northern part of Nigeria where all the Muslims are and stuff. They're trying to bring in Sharia law and all that, all the confusion. Moni says, I predict, Donovan, it's going to be more viruses and plagues that's going to come, and that's going to make it where more Black people are going to come into their wealth being in the privacy of home. Yeah, exactly. They're doing it right now. And that's what I'm saying. We've always had it in us. All these other people come to our country. We wrote that blueprint. We did it. Remember the pyramids in Egypt? We did that. You have them in Peru. You have them all, all in Mexico and stuff like that. Similar pyramids, but we are the originators. How did we forget it? I don't know. Go watch a movie called Once We Were Warriors. Go watch that movie, and it talks exactly about that, how people forgot who they were. Thunder says, I think you mentioned a thing about the opium since the U.S. has been in Afghanistan. There's an opioid crisis like when the U.S. was in Central and South America. There was a cocaine crisis, right? The connection. And the Pioneer says, another example is Ethiopia. It was relatively stable for the past 30 years or so. Then all of a sudden, a civil war broke out there. All around Africa, you had these hot spots breaking out. And guess who was in the middle of it? Artemis says, let's build, I have 1,000. I got you, brother. I can match that 1,000. Jafia says, oops, I meant to say South African regarding Shaka, right? Moni says, Donovan, I'm loving that bed behind you and it's looking real sexy. Do they not have real fancy hotels where you can have a canopy with sheer sheets all on the side? I think you look delicious. Yes, they do have that. And just 4 blocks up the street, maybe 5, there is a adult resort. I don't know what goes on there. It's a private adult resort. I don't know if they're having orgies in there. I don't know what they're doing in there, but it's a private, high security. Yeah, but they do have some high hotels here, stuff like that, but especially in Santo Domingo. You got to go down to Santo Domingo. I'm in the Sosua area, which is north. And so it's kind of they have hotels, but they're, it ain't like it's the Regency or the Hilton. You know what I mean? They have their own entrepreneurial hotels here. Randy C says, oops, sorry. Randy C says, Demetra, are you overworked? No, she's sick. She's got a really bad cold. She caught something. Thunder says, CIA sells cocaine in California to fund a war. Is it possible they're selling all that opium to fund a war? They did it once. Why not do it again? Pioneer, Brother Donovan, if they cut off all safety nets and welfare, you know what would happen, and they do too. They are doing their best to keep the people content. Exactly. We would rise up. I mean, you'd have no choice. The French Revolution. You get so poor, what are you going to do? You got to rise up. Sophia says, Ethiopia is the only country in Africa that was never colonized. Correct. And Penelope Pitstop says, right now, there are a plethora of jobs hiring. So being unemployed is not an excuse. If you have 2 temporary jobs to get ahead, then that's what needs to be done. Exactly. And now they're not paying you minimum wage to work at Burger King. They're paying you at least $16, $17 an hour. And you still keep forgetting to put the napkins in my damn bag. So Yeah. Randy C says, Demetra, are you over? Same thing. Question again. Pioneer says, the problem is if you look at the recent COVID figures and how many people are dying, it's far more people dying now than this time in 2020. You're right. The bottom is eventually going to fall out. Yes. And it's our sister Demetra. Okay, she's hanging on. She's got another 5 minutes, and then she's out of here. You're doing a great job, King. Thank you, sir. It's greatly appreciated. Paid in Full says, what happened to the war on terrorism and sleeper cells? You know, see, you guys keep paying attention. That's why you guys need to like and share and get this information out, and more people will be awake. And get well soon from Randy C. Demetra. Pioneer says, Demetra, thank you for thinking so much of us that you didn't even cancel the show. I appreciate you. What will happen if they cut welfare? Of what the white people will suffer more than anybody else, right? And Sunlight says, Demetra K, take it easy, get some rest. That's the end of the comments. I think that should do it right there. You guys, thank you for tuning in with us. Depending on how Demetra is feeling on Sunday, she'll let us know, and we might.
I should be fine. I should be. Hopefully, I should be fine. I'm gonna just get some more rest, but I'll be up and running on Sunday.
Right. And again, you've got PayPal, Venmo, and all that. The Demetra K's email is at the bottom if you guys want to, write her information, anything like that. And if you feel so generous, please become a subscriber. That way you can just get all the information, everything you need to do. And you can, matter of fact, you guys can check up on Demetra personally if you become a subscriber. So you guys can do that. So Demetra, as we head on out, I hope you feel better, my sister. Is there anything else you would like to add? And by the way, that was a great quote that you found about Joe Biden. I will be talking about that tonight in the bar.
You're going to be in the bar talking about Joe Biden. Yeah, no, most definitely, Donovan, you did a hell of a job. I appreciate you for taking over, reading the comments. You have to do it more often. I could just sit back in the cut, No, but I thank everybody for your well wishes. Yeah, something just hit me that's like, oh my God. I just lay down for the rest of the night. I think I'll be all right. I haven't eaten anything. Well, I had a dragon fruit. I think that's what I had. But anyway, y'all, so we'll be back on Sunday. I think I'll be well enough to do that. But I appreciate you guys for hanging in here with us and participating as always. And thank you, Marcus Guy, for everything you do behind the scenes to keep the show going further on Facebook, YouTube, and Facebook, the other side of the conversation. You guys are the bomb. And always, Donovan, thank you so much. So yeah, we'll see you guys on Sunday, God willing. I think I'll be all right though to be here. So we'll see y'all. Y'all have a great weekend. Peace.